Day 709 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 387,000 military personnel losses, which represents an additional 9 tanks, 19 APVs, 46 artillery, and 1 corvette warship. Which we'll head back to the map now for, as yesterday's video upload missed that news by what felt like mere fractions of a second. As the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense released some compelling footage of an unmanned surface vehicle or naval drone attack against a Russian corvette named the Ivanovets, as it occurred on the roadstead of Lake Dunoslav. So I'll zoom in right there for that one. And according to the latest sources, the event involved 6 Magura V5 naval drones as part of this operation. So the attack sequence was specific and strategic, with the first drone targeting the stern of the boat from the starboard side to disable the propellers, effectively limiting the boat's mobility. Then, subsequent naval drone strikes were aimed at critical parts of the vessel, including one that struck the midsection under the missile launchers, causing significant damage, ultimately leading to its demise. And so the precision and coordination of the drone strikes indeed indicates a well-planned operation aimed at ensuring the complete destruction of the target. But the Ivanovets, despite being armed and seemingly ready for combat, was unable to defend against the swift and targeted drone attack. Now, the cost of the ship lost is approximately $60+ million, but almost priceless given that corvettes take some serious time and funding and manpower to produce. And I would also note that 6 naval drones would seem like a big inventory expenditure for Ukraine, but Ukraine has plenty more where that came from, as we previously received a peek into warehouses just full of them, and that was a few months ago. So, Russia's response? Well, apart from some online comments attempting to palm off the incident as being a strike on a civilian ship, which is odd given we could clearly see it was a large corvette with its 76mm autocannon and various other features, the Russian MOD themselves initially stated all attacks were repelled, as they always do, and then they became eerily silent on the matter, including Russian state media as well. All of which leaves me to wonder if they've even yet decided to inform the big guy at the top. It really is hard news to break. And the Ukrainian response? Well, apart from their MOD uploading the footage pretty near instantly, an arm of the Ukrainian government stated, quote, "This operation is another reminder to the Russian invaders that staying on the territory of the previously occupied objects in Crimea with impunity is harmful to their health." Then, as for the armament of the corvette itself, it carried a number of specialist items, including anti-aircraft capability to protect against air threats such as aircraft, aerial drones, naval drones, ironically, and missiles. And it was also equipped with a number of electronic warfare and countermeasure capabilities, which formally enabled it to engage in operations involving radar surveillance and targeting measures. So, in the end, the sinking of the Ivanovets corvette is considered significant due to the limited number of ships of its class left in the Black Sea Fleet. Then, briefly moving across on the map, as a number of fires broke out due to non-directly related or linked military events, such as a factory on fire at the Pushkino suburb of Moscow, and then also a shopping center complex went on fire in Dagestan. Then we'll head into the Ukrainian map today, as there were a number of some very marginal losses for the Russian forces on the northern front, just east of Sinkivka in the Kharkiv Oblast, but otherwise the northeast remained really largely unchanged. Then the same can be said further south when we head to Avdiivka, where still, even at this stage, It's far from true about Russian control in much of the city. Instead, Russia's control of its 19 houses bridgehead on the city outskirts, which they accessed via sewer pipes, lacks vehicle support. And Ukrainian forces from higher ground constantly attack this position, preventing Russian advancement for over a week now and causing major vehicle losses, making for any claims of significant Russian control as being greatly exaggerated to date. Then, somewhere in the west, a Western supplied FH-70 howitzer destroyed a Russian 2C3 Acacia, which is a relatively rare 30 to 50-year-old SPG or howitzer on tracked wheels. Depending on its date of production, it could be 30, 40, 50 years old for sure. Then in the east, there was a destroyed Russian Typhoon K armored vehicle, specifically that one in the Donetsk region. And then we saw the detonation of a Russian T-72B3 tank, so the later 2016 upgraded variant, in northern Marinka. Then we'll head across to Kherson as a video from the Russian Telegram channel, which operates in the region, shows the fallout after a Russian Grad launcher was destroyed by a Ukrainian drone in the occupied left bank. And notably, in this instance, the drone had to travel a fair distance of about 10 kilometers or 6 miles from the shore to hit its target. Then also, Ukrainian drones destroyed Russian military gear in Krynky, including a hit on the Rakushka APC. And Russian military bloggers continue to write about the increase in the number of Ukrainian kamikaze drones right at this zone. And they even stated their discontent about AFU drones being immune to their electronic warfare equipment. Reason being, typically these electronic warfare, anti-drone guns for instance, emit strong electromagnetic pulses on specific frequencies to interfere with or overpower the wireless communication link with the Ukrainian operator, and indeed attempt to jam signals to emit deceptive geolocating signals there. But this can be circumvented if your military is agile enough to adapt. For instance, some small drones use frequency hopping or encrypted signals to avoid jamming. Also, in similar fashion, they can have a backup communication channel ready to go, or an auto reboot redundancy recovery feature to swing back into action. But most interestingly, the Russian Telegram is commenting on the AFU drones in this region were specifically upset with the failure of their electronic warfare means due to the autonomous nature of the Ukrainian drones. And that is to say, when the radio link connection is severed with their operators, the drones can still operate and fly on autopilot, and reportedly, in some instances, switch control to their onboard autonomous AI systems, which automatically searches for in-field targets such as tanks or armored carriers, and then ram right into them. And I know this sounds like or seems like science fiction, but as frightening as it sounds, we've seen testing footage from the AFU on this ability with some stated in-field usage already, and successful at that. So just when we thought the battlefield landscape was forever changed with drone implementation, we're already looking into the horizon of its next generation capabilities, which a single operator could then theoretically be afforded the capability to single-handedly control literally dozens of drones. Then we'll head across to some news for today, as the chairman of the State Duma for Russia in the Defense Committee, so his name is Andrei Kartapolov, says that St. Petersburg lacks adequate air defense capabilities to effectively shield itself from drone attacks. This has become evident as the city, and Russia's second most populated city, has been struck by Ukrainian drones just twice in January. And so the Russian State Duma chairman would be right to say this, as the vast wide open nature of Russian airspace certainly has its work cut out for it in ways it never had before. Because Russia has now lost hundreds upon hundreds of air defense systems in an environment, no less, that now has a significantly increased threat profile due to the emergence of a multitude of Ukrainian long-range UAV platforms now in existence. Then in some other news, Armenia has just officially joined the International Criminal Court just months after ratifying the court's Rome Statute, which is an initial step of a country that they take to become a member of the ICC, otherwise known as The Hague. And this is something that's only made more interesting by the fact that Armenia is a CSTO member, which is likened to a Russian-sponsored version of NATO. But ultimately, with Armenia joining the ICC, it has now made it illegal for Putin to set foot inside its country, due to Armenia being legally obliged to now arrest Putin if he does step foot inside. So that's just an embarrassment to CSTO relations right there. Then moving across to a Russian military mobilization blunder segment today. So a call intercept from Ukrainian intelligence picked up a conversation between Russian servicemen, with one complaining about being sent into assault near Avdiivka without artillery support. No surprises there. Then he aggressively complained to his battalion commander for extremely poor troop and operation management, causing his immediate arrest, where they threw him in the hole for 4 days. Well, really, it's more of a pit than that of a hole that they throw them into these days. And oddly enough, had he not been arrested, he would have been sent off to certain death where many of his comrades had fallen. So, as it turns out, this guy was actually better off for breaking ranks and giving his commander an earful. Then moving across to a quick funny to round it all off for today, guys. So, top Russian propagandist Solovyov, during his daily monologue podcast rant, got quite angered and triggered by footage he saw posted by Russian telegrammers who uploaded the destruction of a Russian armored column in Novomikhailivka of the Donetsk region. And based on his reaction, I'm somewhat convinced that he doesn't get exposed to a lot of the actual Russian realities on the ground every day. Plus, it must be noted that he actually didn't deny the destruction of the Russian armored column at all, or label it as a fake or anything like that, as he did instead accept the reality of the situation, but at the same time, he only wanted to label Russians uploading this type of content as disinformation agents, which is some serious cognitive dissonance right there. And he's really given off some ivory tower vibes as well, which is only made more ironic by the fact that he's wearing the camo gear. But hey, he wouldn't be Russia's top propagandist if he didn't put on display at least some of that classic Russian logic. So thanks again for watching today, guys, and once again, thanks for all of your support, as I am still vehemently opposed to running my own, VPN ads inside the content, smack bang in the middle. So thanks again for all of your random acts of kindness that really truly go a long way to keep the channel going and as organic as possible. And I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers!